some point, you make a choice about who you are and what you want.
We've been waiting for the second season of Euphoria for 2.5 years, and this TV show is still a masterpiece. It shocks the audience, goes beyond any limits, and provokes heated debates. What's so new about Sam Levinson taking us to a place we know all too well, high school? Why is this show so popular? Can we say that the bluntness of Euphoria has artistic significance? Let's figure it out. If you like our video breakdowns of TV series and movies, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. A small American town. High school with authentic lockers in the hallways. Crazy pool parties. First relationships and insecurities. Popular guys and losers. We've seen all these in dozens of school-set movies. Euphoria is also not the first TV show to focus on teenage sex, drugs, and mental issues. It was outrun by the British TV show Skins. But each new generation of teenagers faces new challenges, and Euphoria tells the story of our time and our realities, when everyone knows what bipolar disorder, gender identity, and dick pics are. As a rule, teen shows have a certain set of characters. These stereotypical images change and become more complex over time. As we can see in Euphoria, classic characters get deeper and more dramatic. Take Nate, for example. At first glance, he seems to be a typical popular guy/football player. However, we soon learn about his trauma and find out that his masculine image is just a cover-up for a miserable child with a number of unresolved problems. Another vivid example is Kat. At first, she is an insecure wallflower who tries to forget about her problems by going online. She does webcam modeling, and this crazy experience, to our surprise, helps her gain self-confidence. Levinson plays with our expectations about teenage and adult characters. For instance, Cal Jacobs, the appalling and ruthless man from the first episodes, turns out to be more tolerable in the carnival episode. We see how broken and weak he is, and realize that there are no good or bad characters. There are only people and their problems. Jules, in her turn, is the most complete and cheerful character. The showrunners don't exploit her transgender experience for hype. They tell Jules' story casually and don't base her personality on this single thing. The series is centered around Rue, the omniscient narrator and teenage drug addict. She struggles with mental health problems from an early age and cannot come to terms with the death of her father. The opening scene of the series shows the day of her birth, while she claims she was happy only in her mother's womb. Rue is played by Zendaya, a Disney star who continues to work with the studio. At the same time, she's a role model for many Zoomers who are the main characters and the target audience of the series. And it's an incredible experience seeing her play a teenager. Her calm and detached voice tells about Nate and Maddie's unhealthy relationship, about Cal's youth, and Jules' childhood. People around Rue fall in love, have fun, struggle, handle their problems, grow up, and dream about the future. But Rue's life is all about the fact that she can't resist her addiction and turns every day into an endless drug trip. Even though Rue is the main character, her story is often secondary. Levinson develops other characters so that each viewer finds someone they can relate to. The filmmaker openly claims that the series is based on a true story. He was also a drug addict. He often points out that he wants to show the teenage world the way it really is, not preaching or lecturing about anything. Actually, Sam Levinson isn't the first director who decided to make an honest series about teenagers. This tradition was introduced by Larry Clark, who made the movie Kids back in the 90s. There, the main characters faced serious problems and experienced trauma. You can find other examples in our checklist. Download it using the link in the description. Teen shows are no longer focused only on teenagers. Growing up turns out to be an excellent metaphor for problems relevant to viewers of different ages. And we don't really need to have a similar traumatic experience to understand the characters of Euphoria. Rue's story is about experiencing loss and losing control over your life. Kat's storyline shows self-acceptance issues. Maddie's story analyzes the tragedy of unhealthy relationships. Nate is an example of toxic masculinity and childhood trauma. In other words, each character has something we can relate to. That's why not only teenagers watch Euphoria. Moreover, Euphoria is rated TV-MA, which means it is not suitable for kids under 17. Interestingly though, the characters in the show also grew up watching potentially harmful content. For example, Kat imagines that she is Daenerys Targaryen, the iconic character from Game of Thrones. This series was also accused of being too liberated. And don't forget that these teenagers also watched porn available to anyone on the net. Euphoria doesn't just show teenagers. It portrays an entire generation. Modern teenagers live in an unusual reality. The virtual world is as important as the one outside of school. The characters know well what a dick pic is. They are afraid of being bullied, use dating apps, and fall in love via chatting. They were born with a smartphone in their hands, but they know a lot about gender and sexuality, as well as mental disorders. At the same time, modern teenagers are more empathetic and free from outdated stereotypes. We can see that in Jules. There are no rude comments about her MTF nature. The same applies to Kat. No one wants to make ugly comments about her looks. So, what does Gen Z look like in Euphoria? They are more sensitive and liberated. They grew up too early, but still avoid taking responsibility for their lives. If we focus on typical problems, they don't really change. The series shows us teenagers falling in love for the first time, being overdramatic, finding their place in society, and posing as adults. Even though Euphoria has plenty of characters and stories to tell, its visual language is more important than the plot. Actually, the visual narrative wins the audience from the first minutes. Unusual makeup and impressive editing capture our attention. The series gets us hooked from the very first scenes. We see Rue's birth, followed by footage taken on 9/11. Euphoria shows how personal stories are intertwined with public ones, and Rue's fate is linked to the fate of the US. Sam Levinson uses different techniques to tell the story. Colors, light, angles, and editing contribute to the narrative. The scenes of Rue's altered state of mind are mesmerizing, with her room spinning and neon lights making us understand what she feels. The light also helps tell the story. Most of the scenes were filmed in dim light. Color temperature also matters. For example, Rue's house always looks warm. Even though she has tense relationships with her family members, they still love her. Nate's house, on the contrary, looks cold. The hope for mutual understanding between father and son is forever lost. The next important feature is the angle. The camera work in Euphoria is incredible. The camera is always moving, hovering over the characters one moment and getting extremely close the next. The showrunners also used chronicles and animated shots. They show characters' dreams on screen, making references to iconic series, movies, works of art, adding a bit of poetry, and letting Rue break the fourth wall. There are even musical scenes. All these features make the series stand out. It's no longer an ordinary teenage drama, but a serious independent movie. The show deals with various taboo topics, depicts explicit scenes, and shows private parts. Many adults claim that Season 1 was almost pornographic. The series is also accused of romanticizing drug addiction. The show seems too attractive to touch on such a serious topic. In fact, Euphoria is a clear statement against drug abuse. The series just doesn't lecture about it in a boring way. Gorgeous visuals work like a glossy cover to keep the pain and despair inside. Before Season 2 was released, Zendaya warned the audience that the series got even more explicit and intended for a mature audience. And it really did. The new season covers events beyond the teenage world. Who is your favorite character from Euphoria? Let us know in the comments how you feel about Season 2. And don't forget your checklist with the main movies and series about teenagers. It's in the description.
We are Art for Introvert and we want knowledge to be accessible to everyone. That's why we have a 7-day free trial period for all Art for Introvert courses. Our catalog contains more than 40 courses in different subject fields, from art and cinema to psychology and literature. To get access, activate the subscription in our app. The first 7 days of unlimited access are free of charge, then $6.99 per month. In addition, we have free audio courses, lectures, and more things available without the subscription. Download our Art for Introvert app from App Store and Google Play. By activating the subscription, you support our project, help us make knowledge available worldwide, and produce great educational content.